This is a homage beat.
The last of the major pro sports leagues is off and rolling, and college basketball is ready to go. BetOnline remains your top spot for all your live betting action and contests. Hey, it's your man Lloyd Spencer. Listen, the NFL, college football, UFC, and NHL are all in full swing because my Rangers have already won the World Series. And BetOnline was there the whole time. They're the #1 source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. All the hoops, betting action, along with every sport available at your fingertips with both desktop and mobile access at any time. You can already bet for the Rangers to win the World Series again next year. Head to the BetOnline today website. Head to the website for BetOnline today, and remember to use our promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. It's BetOnline. It's where the game starts. It's where the game ends. It's betonline.ag. Tell them the fan of the 2023 Texas Rangers sent you.
Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Yeah. Spend a minute. Popcorn World.
Can I make you groove now? Yes, I can. So you can get this groove in the back of a can. But to make it rhyme world, man, the holes in your hand.
Popcorn World.
250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile.
I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. It's a popcorn world. It's a popcorn world.
You're now listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Fern Creek Hall of Famer, Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course, Mama Noise's man, Lloyd Smith. And now, it's time for BLEAV in the ACC.
Oh boy.
Oh, hey, y'all.
We're in for a long show, Charlie.
Oh, man. No. I'm good. I got my coffee. I'm
Just
ready
hit it
to
now.
go.
Just hit the button now off top.
Hit the button. Wait a minute. It's too early.
And that was a humble flex.
Wait a minute. Let's be clear. There is nothing about the type of flex that's humble about the type of flex I'm about to do this morning. This is all full on flex.
You're right.
We waited a long time to do this flex. But I am feeling good.
When you unmute Coach Junior.
I muted. Did I mute him? Oh, he's got to unmute. Yeah. I don't think I muted him. There we go. Hello, Coach.
Hi. This is I don't know. It was very funny to hear the fan telling the fan of the 2023 MLB champions.
That's right, baby.
Come on, man.
I'm pretty excited if you have a guest.
Yeah, that Bet Online read was wow.
That was
It'll be a long season. It'll be a long year, fellas. I'm just gonna tell you right now.
that was
And it's not even his favorite team. So
right. So ain't my favorite. But they're up there though. Listen.
They're what, third?
No, you know what? Well, right now they're at least second because my favorite team is insufferable right now. So they're probably second. But
I figured
I don't have
favorite team won last night.
Right. I don't have a championship shirt yet because it's not time.
You don't?
You got to be.
That's only because you're in Arkansas. If you were down in
Right.
Texas,
But I do have an appropriate shirt. I do have an appropriate shirt. I am
Louses.
Let me tell you something. That was unbelievable last night. Because I thought we were surely going to Game 6. The way Gallen came out,
broke it out.
The way Zach Gallen came out for the Diamondbacks. I mean, listen, you have to give respect where respect is due. That kid pitched a jewel for 6 innings. We had no answer whatsoever. And I was like, can he keep this up for another 3 innings? Like, Jesus, this man is amazing.
But Lord, the score was 0-0.
Well, it was, but you got to give him credit.
What do you mean you didn't think it was going to Game 6? Because the score
because they kept loading bases and putting people on, and I'm like, man, that's when you're sitting in our seat as Ranger fans. you have to remember we're scarred. We were scarred before last night. We saw that World Series lead slip away with one strike. We were one strike away from winning the World Series 12 years ago. One strike. And it all slipped away. So we have learned to not count our chickens until they hatch. So I am in a great place this morning, but I'm also in a melancholy place because before the game, we got the word that I guess it's fair to say the great Bob Knight passed, right? The great.
More than fair. Yeah.
Okay, the great Bob Knight passed. Well, because one thing as I reflected on Bob Knight, the one thing that popped up in my head is the past, the present, and then even the future of what his legacy will be. Because other than maybe Bill Parcells and maybe even Bill Belichick, I'm not sure there has ever been a more polarizing coach than Bob Knight. Like he is.
There's not a more polarizing. I mean, there's not a more polarizing coach than Bobby Knight.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think there is one. He is. He is beloved. He is.
What about the coach? Coach from Ohio State back in the day.
I thought about Woody.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I thought about Woody Hayes.
Woody Hayes is up
Woody
there.
Hayes is in that realm as
I
well.
mean, they're both. I mean, there's a whole upper echelon, and those two are running it.
In the Hall of Fame of coaches, there is a room full of cantankerous coaches, and these men sit in that room. But I'll tell you, my reaction when I found out was like, "Whoa!" And then as I kept reflecting, I was like, "Wow." But only one of us on this screen has ever played against this team, and that was the great Charlie Ward. Do you remember those games, Charlie? And do you remember what it was like to compete against them? And what are your thoughts about the great Bob Knight?
Well, they put us out 2 years in a row. So
right.
That was tough. But we did beat them 1 year. I didn't play that year. I wasn't playing at the time. It was during football season. We beat them at Madison Square Garden. Sam Cassell and that group won that game. But the thing that I remember the most about Indiana was just their ball movement, player movement. They were kind of before their time, in a sense. You know, they ran the motion offense, and they knew what they were doing when you were trying to figure it out. And so they were very successful being able to run that offense. But Coach Knight was fiery, but he was also genuine, and he was a friend of Coach Kennedy. And I do believe I wasn't on the bus, but I did hear that he came on the bus, our bus, at one point to either ride over to the facility or the Madison Square Garden, or just to hang out.
He came on the bus to ride with you guys?
I don't know what it was, but
that is hilarious.
I know he was on the bus for a minute. But he's, like I said, he had an effect on a lot of young men that played for him. Of course, he was with USA as well, so he got that experience. But it was something that, during the times very similar, like Denny Crum, when you compete against him and his teams, you knew they were legends. But, now we understand, their legacy, what they left behind.
Do you think history will look upon him as a great, or because it was interesting to hear Jay Billis. I don't know if you guys heard this morning, but Jay Billis was talking about him. And Mike Greenberg, shout out to Mike Greenberg, he said, how should we remember him? And Jay was like, I think you got to remember all of it. You can't leave one, because if you tell the story of Bob Knight, and Kendrick, you you were in the area like I was in the Susquehanna area, and we know firsthand the worship that is Bob Knight. Do you think it's fair that it is what is fair in remembering? I won't even parse it. What is fair to remember?
I mean, I think when you eulogize the man, I mean, of course you know you bring up all the good points and stuff, and the first and foremost is through all of his stuff, his players loved him and they played for him. They played hard for him. They would go to the mat for him. They would run through a brick wall for him. And I said, like, I mean, you've been around here. I mean, there's people that are IU fans would still want Bob Knight to be the coach right now.
Right.
In the grave. But
right.
I mean, that's the effect he had on that fan base, even through all of his stuff. And so, but yeah, you can't, I mean, you can't write the book of Bobby Knight without mentioning, you know, the Lawrence Funderburk and you know, Neil Reed and then the student that said, "Hey, Knight," and Bob Knight snapped and pretty much got Bob Knight let go at IU. And so, but at the same time, he kind of put Texas Tech on the map when he went down there, and you know, he's still the last team to go undefeated in college basketball, and he's got the national championships and the great players he coached, Isaiah Thomas, you know, Steve Alford, you know, the list goes on and on, Calbert Chaney. And so it's very complex. It's a very complex story, but I mean, it is a story that I think does need to be told in every facet.
I 100% agree. And then one thing that people may or may not know, his coaching tree is insane. Like, let's start with Coach Krzyzewski.
Right.
Let's begin there.
Right.
Right. And then we go to Steve Alford. We go to Chris Beard. We go to Davis. Is it Mike Davis?
Mike Davis.
Yeah. Mike Davis. It's like, it's mind blowing the impact that he's had on college basketball. Mm-hmm. But you can make a case he's one of the 3 most impactful coaches that's ever coached the game. I mean, it's amazing what he did in the game. But there are people, but I think more than any other coach, people fall into 2 categories with Bob Knight. They think he's a legend and an icon, or they cannot stand him. And there's no middle ground. I don't think there's any middle ground with that.
I think the middle ground is the people who recognize both sides of it. Yes, he was a great coach, and I'm one of them. I recognize he was a great coach.
I recognize both sides.
He meant so much to the game itself, and his success, I mean, is unparalleled. You can't, I mean, he's up there with John Wood and Mike Krzyzewski and Bob Knight's right in there. But you can't ignore, you know, the rape comments that he made. And all that stuff. And so
bringing a whip to a press conference. This is how you coach them. Oh,
right.
Wait. Bob.
The
first thing I also thought about with Bob Knight, and then we'll put this to bed, Charlie, and you tell me what you think. There's not one coaching strategy that I can think of other than the X's and O's. Now, he could get away with all the X's and O's stuff. But other than that, there's not one thing. There's no way he could coach in today's game. There's no way he could coach in today's culture, because he just wouldn't last. He would not. He wouldn't make it 3 practices.
No.
I mean, that's most coaches that are from that generation.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, if you ask him today, like my dad, I mean, he would have a tough time. He would adjust, I'm sure, in some form or fashion, but there would be some elements that would, you know, come back from the old school standpoint. But
the key word is adjust.
Right.
Yeah. But
right.
I think
then he would have adjusted.
To some parts of it. I'm not sure if it all, because there are some things that old school is good.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That needs, I mean, that doesn't graduate or gets old.
Mm-hmm.
I think it carries over to any generation. But in our day and age, some of the old school things seem to get thrown out the window because everybody feels like they should be doing whatever, regardless if it's right or wrong.
Yeah, no question about it. Well, it's interesting because we titled today's show "Coaching Be Hard," and and it's no more fitting to start with the retrospective of Bobby Knight, but we've seen this past week some very interesting coaching be hard moments. I think let's start with the easiest one to deal with, or maybe not. I don't know. It depends on how this conversation goes. But we saw Kenny Payne from Louisville, who is the head coach of the men's basketball team of Louisville, lose to an exhibition game to Kentucky Wesleyan. And I'm assuming you were there, Kendrick, watching in real time. Take us into the moment. Take us into the moments of this game, and how did this happen?
It happened because early on in the first half, they got some good looks. Louisville got some good looks. They just didn't fall. And I can't count how many shots went all the way down and popped back out. That happens. Poor shooting nights happen.
Right.
What should not happen is your team getting crushed on the boards by a Division II team. Kentucky Wesleyan just dominated the boards, and it was all effort. It was all out hustling. They're small.
Are they a big team? Are they a big team?
No.
Wow.
No. And if it's one of those things where if Kentucky Wesleyan comes in playing out of their minds, shooting lights out, it's easier to take than losing the game, because that happens sometimes. But that's not what happened. What happened was Louisville missed a lot of shots. They only made 16 shots for the game. They got crushed on the boards, and the moment I knew the game was over, it was Louisville's down 1. It was still like 3 minutes left. Kentucky Wesleyan goes to the line, misses a free throw, get the rebound, and kick it back out. And the guy who missed the free throw gets a wide open 3. And before that shot went in, I was like, ball game.
The guy that missed the free throw got the wide open 3. Wow.
Yeah. Yes. And they kept fighting. They did. I will say they didn't quit at that point, but you knew the game was over, and they kept fighting, whatever. But Scott Clark was phenomenal. It was kind of Ellis all over again, except that he wasn't turning the ball over like El used to. But at the end of the game, and he was the only one who could make a shot. Trey White struggled to make shots and took a lot of them. JJ Traynor played well again. He's been consistent. But outside of those two, and Mike James was pretty good down the stretch, but outside of those 3 guys, nobody else showed up. Dennis Evans had to be taken off the floor because Wesleyan went small, and he just not fast enough to keep up with their guys. And Brandon Huntley-Hatfield may as well have not. He got 1 more rebound than I did. He may as well have not even shown up. Between the 2 of them, they only took 1 shot between the 2 bigs. And, it was, I don't know. In the press conference, KP was saying that he wants to see paint touches, but they never really went inside, obviously, when they only got 1 shot between the 2 bigs. And they rarely would post up. Hatfield, I remember Hatfield trying to post up a 6'2" guy and couldn't get the spot. And it was just offensively was bad. They played okay defense. I can't take some positives out of it. They did play okay defensively, but offensively it was a struggle.
So let's be fair. I want to start this conversation fairly. Kenny's only been there
just year 2.
The basketball equivalent of 5 minutes.
Right.
We're not talking about a long time. So he has not really had the opportunity to completely get his guys, whatever that means. In totality, I'm just going to say.
He overhauled the roster.
He did. I'm just saying.
Stop trying to get a man an excuse.
Okay, I will. I'll stop. Go ahead, Charlie. Because you're our coaching expert.
No, I'm not an expert.
You're our champion coach.
You're the only one that's won a state championship on the podcast.
You're a leader of men.
You're a leader of men. There you go.
Appreciate that. But I think the overriding thing is it's an exhibition,
Mhm.
and it's good to get all this stuff on film because you never really know, especially if you're like he is in his second year, trying to bring a new group together. You really never know early on. You never know how they're going to gel, who needs to do what, be better at what. And it's good that they were able to get these games in, just so they can see their team and evaluate from there. Um, you know, I can only imagine them getting better with things that they need to improve upon. And if he's talking about paint touches, then that means there's numerous ways to touch the paint. You know, they just have to figure out what their strengths are because
Mhm.
that's always with a new roster, in a sense, it's always trying to figure out your team's strength and weaknesses and staying away from it. And so it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back from the game and continue to improve over the course of the season. Now, how that season goes, that's up to them and the players and how they improve and take to coaching uh, before they hit ACC or anything. But it'd be interesting to see how they bounce back, learn from the loss because I'm sure it was embarrassing. Florida State, Florida State last year, I think it was, had a very similar start in a lot of
Mm.
ways where they were struggling with their identity. I know they were under 500 at one point early on, and they were losing to UCF and teams that we normally, didn't lose to, especially at home.
Right.
So it was just a matter of trying to figure out, that whole deal. And then chemistry plays a part. I mean, it's hard to, you got to figure that chemistry piece out as well. So there's a lot going on there. And then you got administration. You got people on the outside adding their 2 cents to the mix, or snooping around, or whatever the case may be. So it's that all of those things
Mhm.
play a big part in the outcome. I mean, sometimes we don't look at it that way, but when you have that pressure or the heat, in a sense, to feel like you have to win, and everybody feels it. And when there's no support, the same thing I said about was it Hatfield? No, not Hatfield. What's the guy in Cincinnati now?
Oh, Satterfield.
Yeah, Satterfield.
Satterfield,
Yeah.
yeah,
When
that
he
sounds great.
when he was there, you know, at Louisville, he was having a decent season, but it was always, can we find somebody better, or can we do X, Y, Z better?
Yeah.
And just that pressure of trying to win and feeling like you got to win, and it just came to a point where they're like, "Hey, man, go find another job."
Right.
Well, it's interesting you would say that, and I want to go ahead and bring this part of the conversation in now because it kind of ties in to what you're talking about with Kenny. Because I think to a certain degree, success does breed a level of contempt. And it brings us to
Oh, this is
Dabo
great.
Sweeney part of the show. And this doesn't need a setup. It just needs to be. I just need to.
I love because we're gonna get our initial reactions because we haven't talked about it yet on our text.
We have not. We have not. But here we go.
Hey, Tyler, I've listened to enough of you, Tyler. Listen, you can have all your opinions that you want.
You guys
I
hear?
don't know how old you are.
It's very low.
I don't really care. All right, but let me tell you something. We won 11 games last year, and you're part of the problem. To be honest with you, because that is part of the problem. It's people like you that do that. All you do is the appreciation. The expectation is greater than the appreciation, and that's the problem. And so, we've won 12 10-plus seasons in a row. That's happened 3 times in 150 years. So if you want to know why, Clemson ain't sniffed a national championship for 35 years. We've won 2 in 7 years. And there's only 2 other teams that can say that, Georgia and Alabama. Okay? Is this a bad year? Yeah,
And it's my responsibility. Take 100% responsibility for it. But all this bull crap you're thinking, all these narratives you read, listen, man, you can have your opinion all you want. And you can apply for the job. And good luck to you. All right? But to answer your question, all right, we're second in draft picks. We've graduated 98% of our guys. We're second in wins. All right? We if you want to know why, again, I'm telling you, we're not perfect. There's a lot of teams that, Frank Howard never had a bad year. I'm far from it. I am a man of faith. Absolutely. All right? I'm 53 years old, and there ain't one thing in my life. I have been a part of failure many times, but there ain't one thing in my life that I've ever failed at, Tyler. Never. All right? Ever. I wanted to be in education. I got 2 degrees. I wanted to be the first college in my graduate my family. I did it.
I think we get the gist.
We get the gist. Tyler.
So now, to be fair, again, I like to try to be fair and balanced in these conversations. Tyler asked the man something in the neighborhood of, you making $10 million or $11 million. Why we ain't winning?
Who you think you got? Chelsea Clinton?
Paraphrase. I think the question was wildly inappropriate, okay? But the premise, maybe not so much. Like, you do want to know why a team who has had as much success as they've had, why they're struggling this year. Why are they struggling? Now, if he just left it at that, I think maybe we don't get the red, or the Tyler. But it is interesting because, and you see the bubbling over. Obviously, this is that rant was the culmination of weeks of frustration.
Yes.
And so I get it. I understand.
There's weeks of hearing people
like the Tyler. That was for
Tyler.
every Tyler out there.
Yes.
That was for every Tyler in South Carolina. So, your thoughts, gentlemen. I'm just curious to know what you think about all of that. Go ahead, Charlie.
They have 4 losses.
Yeah.
All right.
You called it.
They easily could have 2. Let's just say 2, because they had the Florida State game. They should have beat Duke. And then the rest of the games have been close ones as well, like 1 score for the most part. Last game, I thought it was a little far-fetched. I think they may have closed the gap late.
Right.
But there are a few. This is what I keep saying about, like, teams. Like, people go overboard when teams lose close games, and their record reflects it. Like, a team could be 2-6, but they could easily have, all 5 of those games 1 score, but you're still 2-6,
right?
And so it's that whole deal where I think they're not the Clemson that we know of that's been the past 10, 12, whatever it is years that they've won 10 games or 11 games or whatever it was. They're not that team, but I think a lot of people are frustrated with Coach Sweeney because he hasn't, what they consider, dabbled in the portal. They do NIL for their players. It's mainly they haven't dabbled in the portal. So they feel like he's ancient.
They're not competing in the same way that the other teams that are winning are competing. And I, to your point, Charlie, didn't mean to cut you off, but that is very frustrating to this fan base because, unfortunately, whether he likes it or not, there is a natural evolution of time right now. And until rules are put in place by the NCAA to regulate NIL, which, by the way, they're never coming, this is what we have. And so he's got to make some decisions as to, well, he has made some decisions. as to how he wants to do it. But these are the consequences of those decisions. To your point,
Hold
I'm
on,
sorry.
hold on. You said NIL. NIL has to do with this. They have
Well, it does a little, but it does a little bit, Charlie. It does because a lot of the players that he would normally get in a 5-star situation, they're not coming if somebody else is going to control their NIL situation.
No, they have NIL. They have,
but not in the same way. But not in the same way as you would in other schools.
But people shouldn't be using the NIL that way. That is the issue that we're having now. Is your Jordan Addison getting paid to go to USC? That is illegal. But for a team to have an NIL deal to recruit their players, that's perfectly legal. But what is going across the line is getting players that aren't, that's coming for NIL as opposed to just, but Clemson has always built their team on recruits. Like,
right.
You think about their teams that they've had, that is the way they built it. So, yes, I agree they should dabble in the transfer portal just for a few players that fit their niche, very similar to what Coach Norville has done here at Florida State, and others have found the right fit for their culture. But I don't think NIL, I think it's more changing your approach to how you want to build your team outside of NIL.
This is one of those situations where I kind of see both sides of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't fault, and you know me, I've been critical of Dabo for a while now, but
right.
I don't fault him though in this situation because he's right. They won 11 games last season, and like Charlie said, they've lost 4. They easily could be 2 losses. So it's not like the team is bad, and it's like Dabo said. All the success he's had, he can afford to have one bad season. And it happens. There's not a coach in the history of sports that has never had a bad season. And so I think you can afford him a bad season. However, I can see the frustration when you do look down the road and how his attitude has been towards all the stuff that is the way it is today. If you're looking forward, you are kind of wondering, okay, is he going to adjust or not? And it doesn't feel like he is. And so I can see the fans' frustration on that end. It's like, I don't know if he's going to adjust to the times. So I can see that part. But again, he can have one bad season. Let's chill out. The sky's not falling.
It's not falling. But also, again, here's the reality. And I agree with you, Charlie, that it should not be used that way. But it is used that way. Like, let's be clear.
For some there are some schools that are doing it the right way, going through the transfer portal, not doing the NIL. Like,
no question about it.
Deal.
No
there
question.
Are some that's doing that for sure.
Yeah,
as we've seen.
Yeah, but that's the point that I'm making. And I guess and listen, whatever stance or whatever approach they want to take, that's fine. He can take that approach. But I think the other side of it is the transfer portal stance. I don't understand that part at all. I think, but that kind of goes hand in hand as well. Because even in a transfer portal situation, if you're really, really good, you're probably still looking for some of the same benefits. So there's a weird storm that has brewed into college sports, which is why we have the parity that we have right now.
Right.
Because people have the opportunity to go where they want to go and kind of do what they want to do. So it's a weird mix of things going on. But
also,
I don't know.
You got to think about how, like I said, how they built their teams over the years, and it's come through, recruiting, and growing guys into leadership roles,
and getting the best. He's always been able to get the best, the top guys.
Correct. And so I think that's something, like I mentioned, he can't completely overhaul his team, but he may need to, look at going and finding certain pieces that's going to help him, through the transport, especially if it's kids that they've already recruited. That's a lot of times in this day and age, that's what's happening. Like you recruit a kid so hard, and he decided to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, a year later, they decide, hey, we want to go somewhere. We want to go somewhere else. And then that's where you start getting a lot of these relationships and guys coming to other schools because they're not so much they're unhappy. Sometimes that is the case, but sometimes they want to get closer to home.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do think legitimately what's happening with some of these schools is they recruit a player and they're like, look, we don't have a spot for you to play this season. Go to this school, get your reps or whatever. Next season we'll probably have an opening at your position, and you can go ahead and hit the transfer portal and come on over. I know that happens. I can guarantee you that happens.
Honestly, the perfect person for him to talk to right now, and this is a weird parallel, but Coach K, because he struggled with the shifting of that as well in college sports, because he's an old school guy. He's Bobby Knight disciple. And when college basketball shifted like that, it took him a minute to get on board. But once he finally got on board, he was able to make the switch, and he was able to keep the train moving. So I think that's kind of what's happening. Like we're not going back. And I think you're going to have to figure out your version of what the new thing looks like. And that's just what it is. So
speaking of Duke, they got their new Christian Laettner in flag. In flag.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He's going to be Christian Laettner 2.0.
For sure. Yes. For sure. No question about it.
Duke.
What'd you say, Charlie?
Cooper Flag decided to go to Duke?
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah.
He's a perfect fit for that program too. He's gonna be a star. I mean, that guy can play.
That why the coach got an extension?
Probably had a little bit to do with it.
Could be. People are gonna love him, and they're gonna love him, and everybody else is gonna love to hate him. So there you go. Okay. We won't touch the Michigan thing because I don't even understand that. That is the weirdest story.
So it's weird and keeps getting more weird every day.
And by the way, just as we've been on the air, coaches in the Big Ten, there's a story saying coaches in the Big Ten are saying to the commissioner, you need to do something. So I personally don't think Michigan is going to survive this, but let's see. So all my belly aching about how the opening playoffs unfolded.
You're out of control on Tuesday.
I am out of control right now because I don't like it.
You off the ledge.
I don't think Michigan deserves to be there. But I don't think Michigan deserves to be there, but it may not even matter. Right?
And they do deserve to be there.
They do not deserve to be there.
They're undefeated, and they're blowing everybody out.
They do not deserve to be there. Listen to me, believe in the ACC fans. They don't deserve to be there. Okay. All right. Let's get to the games. Let's get to the game.
Louisville is number 13, by the way.
Right. Louisville is number 13. It's interesting. It's an interesting journey for all these guys. But we always 6-3 this week. And this week the extra game did not save us. Utah tanked it. Since I'm already there. Utah tanked it to Oregon in a big way. That was
in a big way. Yeah. That didn't 100% surprise me though.
It didn't surprise me, but UK didn't surprise us. That definitely didn't surprise us. They just don't have an offensive line. They'll get that kid killed.
Right.
Ohio State, Wisconsin went about the way you expected. And then the shocker of the weekend was Kansas rolling over Oklahoma. But I kept saying to myself, man, this feels like an Oklahoma trap. Like it feels like they're not ready for this game. And they played well. They only lost by 3, but if you watch the game, they made a lot of mistakes, and those mistakes compiled, and it just cost them in the end. But in our beloved ACC, we had our own problems. There's no way he survives this season. Are we in agreement with this now?
You're finally there.
And now the end is near as we approach the final curtain. I feel bad for the guy because he's for the last few years he's kept Syracuse together with baling wire and tape, and now the tape is broke. The baling wire is rusted out. It's not good.
Yeah.
It's just not good. Though Virginia Tech is playing better. So I don't know.
They're scary coming into next week.
They're a sleeper team.
Yeah, they're playing better. So it may not be all his fault, but he's not winning games. For like a little bit, I thought UConn was gonna pull this off. I was very nervous. I was like, UConn's gonna mess around and win this game.
Notre Dame's little brother for the ACC.
I was like, man, they're gonna mess around and win this game. And then North Carolina State. Which did you know that the coach for North Carolina State and Steve Smith had beef like that? That threw me off at the end in his interview where he said, "Tell Steve Smith to kiss my behind." Well, he didn't say behind. He said, "I was like,
well, maybe because Steve Smith picked against him. He picked against.
Well, and he also said they're just waiting for basketball season, which was a little shade, but I mean, it's tongue in cheek.
Steve Smith talks a lot, though.
He does, but I didn't.
It could have been. It could have been.
They go off like that.
I mean, Steve Smith lives in Charlotte, and so I mean, they may know each other. It may be.
Who is Steve Smith?
The football player, Steve Smith, the wide receiver.
Oh, the wide receiver?
Yeah.
He was on game day on Saturday morning.
Oh.
And the coach purposely waited till the end of the interview to say to the interviewee, "Tell Steve Smith this is not a basketball school. He can kiss mine." I was like, "Yo, we got beef in the streets."
Well, I think these coaches have been extremely sensitive this year, going after announcers on TV. I mean, you think about Day going after Lou Holtz. It's like, what are you doing?
What's going on right now?
What are you doing? You're supposed to be telling your players to not pay attention to outside noise, and here you are.
Here you are, right. They're using the Apollo Creed Rocky 3 version. Be cool. That was cool. You know, okay. Georgia Tech did the most Georgia Tech thing this weekend ever in beating North Carolina. Once again, North Carolina and USC. To me, USC and North Carolina have to play each other in a bowl game this year so that we can see the highest scoring bowl game in the history of college sports.
It would be a basketball score.
It would be a basketball score of monumental proportions. So, and let them play it in the Russell Athletic Bowl. That'd be fun. So there you go. And then, of course, Miami squeaked it out to Virginia. Just barely got that one done. Notre Dame had no problem with Pitt, and Florida State had no problem with Wake Forest.
Could you believe I saw a Notre Dame fan posting that Notre Dame should be ranked ahead of Louisville because of the way they beat Pitt and that Louisville lost to Pitt?
No.
It's like this fan base is amazing.
Notre Dame's got to stop.
Well, so in their defense, there were some Notre Dame fans that came on there. It's like, dude, shut up.
Right. Yeah. and then of course, I'm gonna tell you something. I watched this game in fear of Riley Leonard's life. Like, I'm like, y'all gonna get this kid killed because this is Louisville was teeing off on him, and it was not pretty.
I mean, from the opening possession,
it was not pretty. The score does not indicate how dominant Louisville was in this game.
I mean, give Duke's defense credit. They held U of L to 3 field goals after those first 2 touchdowns.
Right.
Yeah, that was eye-opening in the sense that they like the score was, what was the score at halftime?
Oh goodness. Good question, Charlie. I will.
I know it's 14-0 after the first quarter.
Yeah, I was gonna say 17-0. I think it was.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think it was 17-0, something like that.
Score very many points in the second quarter. Might have been 23-0 at half.
It may have been.
It may have been. I can here, we'll pull it up real quick and just so we can confirm it.
But that was the thing that
17-0. 17-0. Yeah.
17-0 at half.
At half.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was very. I know Duke has a very good defense, but I was just concerned that Louisville's offense, for whatever reason, didn't score any more points, like outside of field goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little concerning.
I chalked
Not
that up
sure.
to Duke's defense a little bit, but yeah,
And they
it
do have
was
a good defense. Yeah.
it was concerning that they only put up 23 points and they had 14 in their first 2 possessions.
Right. But nevertheless, they got the win, and they marched forward. So now here we are as we head to week 10, and we need to make our picks. So we start with, ironically, Wake Forest and Duke.
They play tonight. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go with Duke. I just don't know. I mean, Wake Forest is not bad, but they're playing on the road. And if Duke plays the quarterback that played the last possessions,
Yeah.
he wasn't bad. I mean, he threw the ball well, like he knew where he was going with the football. I think he's a young kid, young player that they probably should be playing outside of the other kid, Belvin, or yeah. So I'm gonna go with Duke at home. Hopefully
Yeah, I'm the same with Charlie.
their defense is stout.
If you're Duke, don't you have to play? Because you listen, you're probably not going to play for an ACC title, but you can still get a decent bowl game. And also, you'd like to go into that bowl game with Riley Leonard reasonably healthy. I think you don't want to keep running him out here and taking the risk that it's just going to keep getting worse, because he's never going to be able to truly heal like he's supposed to until he gets a little bit of rest. And Wake Forest seems like the right game to rest him, because you got UNC coming up next, and that's a rivalry game. So I don't know.
No, I like I said, I would have rested him Florida State game.
You said it a lot. Well, you said that.
Just to give him another week to potentially, look better or feel better against Louisville, and then the rest of the season can be what it was. But he's a competitor.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go Wake Forest on this one, because I think he's got to sit, man. You got to sit this guy at least 1 week. Just give him one more week, and I think he might be okay. So we'll see. Boston College and Syracuse. What we doing? We can move on.
I don't know though. I mean, I'm going Boston College, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm Boston College just because they have a quarterback.
Well, I think the thing has come off the rails, and at this point, I don't know if he can get it back. Oh man, this might be number 5, guys. Tyler may be even more upset after this week.
Think Tyler calls in again?
Tyler's gonna keep trolling him until
he won't get through though. Surely the producers won't let him through again.
No, Tyler's done.
Is Will Shipley out?
Oh, I had heard that he may be out. I'm hearing some stuff. He might be out for the season. Like, he might be over. They may shut him down. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. But I think he's for sure out this game, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't think they can't win without Shipley.
I can't believe this game. I mean, can you believe this game is like a noon game? This was like it should have been a primetime game. And
that is
falling
also
off that much that it's a noon kick.
That is also shocking.
But it is primetime. It's the beginning of the day. Most people are watching games in the beginning of the day.
I mean, technically, you're right, Charlie. I mean,
technically, this game won't even get a pregame show. It's on ABC. So it's not even on the ESPN. It's not even coming from game day to this game.
I'm surprised they haven't moved this game to ESPN Plus at this point.
Or the CW.
I'm going Notre Dame. Notre Dame. I think this is the 5th loss. I didn't see 5 coming, but I think this is the 5th loss. No Shipley. How do you win that game?
Yeah, I'm going Notre Dame on this one too.
Yeah.
I kind of hope Clemson wins just because Dabo went off this week.
I was gonna go Clemson, but man, I I just don't know if they have it. Like, so I'm going Notre Dame.
All right. Let's see. We got Campbell and North Carolina. That should be.
Well, we hope.
I mean, it should be. But Campbell's going to put up.
Campbell's going to score.
Campbell's going to put up 25, though. Let's be clear. Let's be very clear. They're putting up 25. No question about it. All right.
No, they're going to be stout.
This is going to be interesting, too.
I'm going Virginia. Virginia's been playing well. I mean,
I'm with Charlie.
I was thinking the same thing. I think I'm going VA on this one.
And then you got Georgia Tech, who is all over the place.
Right.
And of course, Georgia Tech will win this game, by the way. Then we got Florida State and Pitt, but they're going to Pitt, to nasty Pitt. What's the weather gonna be like? I don't know.
It's Pittsburgh. It's gonna be bad.
We got some cold weather here this morning.
I don't want to hear that.
What is it? 65? What is it?
No, it's been like 40. With your fingers.
Charlie's 32 here.
Well, that's 6 degrees less or 8 degrees less than here.
Let me see what it is.
32 is freezing, Charlie. It freezes at 32.
But at 40,
it makes a difference.
At 40, if you go outside, your fingers can get numb if you stay out there long enough.
It's 35 here right now.
It's helping prepare us for what we may face at Pitt. Just a little bit.
It's not the weather you gotta be worried about. It's their grass.
That grass and that weird wind.
That weird wind around in there.
Let me go back real quick. I'm making a change. I'm picking Georgia Tech.
Oh, you trying to make up ground, aren't you?
I gotta make up some ground, and that's the kind of game where I probably could. So I was thinking about, like, this might be a good make up ground game. So okay. As far as this is concerned, I think I'm going Florida State, but I'm gonna be honest with you, Charlie. I'm concerned.
Pitt.
I'm concerned only because
who's Florida State play next week?
Miami.
Miami.
Yeah, that's the cause of concern, but I think they'll be fine.
Well, it's the combination.
8 points.
Huh?
Pitt just gave up 58 points.
They did.
Yeah, they was on the road though. They was on the road.
Tackling travels.
He was on the road.
All I'm gonna say is this.
I'm not worried either, Charlie.
All I'm gonna say is this. I think Florida State's gonna win, but it would not shock me if this was a lot closer than.
But Charlie, you know what's crazy though? Your team is still flying under the radar somehow.
They are. I don't understand it.
Undefeated.
Because all the other teams are mighty.
They're not. They are not. They are not. I don't believe it in any way, form, or fashion. Okay.
It's not getting any love. That's why.
Right.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Virginia Tech and Louisville. What we doing, people?
Man, I was thinking about going Virginia Tech because they trending in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
But Louisville's at home and they play much better at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Louisville.
3:30 kick. The crowd will be nice and spirited by then.
Oh yeah. In a good place.
So yeah, I'll go with Louisville on that one.
And then the Momentum Bowl, Miami and NC State. Who you going with in the Momentum Bowl?
I'm going with NC State because they're playing at home. Miami may play better on the road than they do at home. But I'm going to go with NC State since they're playing at home.
With Miami, it's either a road game or a neutral game.
Right.
Because when they play Louisville, it might be more Louisville.
Louisville will dominate. That'll be another home game. It'll be another home game for sure.
I think I'm going NC State, and it's because I just don't believe in Miami on the road. You know what? I'm gonna go with Miami. I'll take the chance. I'll take the chance. Charlie might catch me this week, but I'll take the chance. I'll go with Miami. I just feel like they have they have they had decent, but they obviously have more talent. Just if that talent actually plays together is the problem.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to NC State. I gotta try to make some ground. Okay. Your one pick game this week, Purdue, Michigan. But I think Michigan's got all the tape they need to beat Purdue, so they're fine.
They got all their signs.
They're fine. They're fine. Kansas State, Texas is a sneaky game. Missouri, Georgia, LSU, Alabama, and in the final one, Washington and USC. Charlie, which way you going this week?
What was the first game?
Purdue, Michigan.
I'm going Michigan, Purdue. Hey, I was telling my guys yesterday they want to start shooting threes at the 3-point line at the beginning of practice or beginning of games. I'm taking his layup.
Right, work your way out.
Work your way out. All right. And Charlie, I know you got to get out of here. You got any shout outs before you go?
No.
There should be one obvious shout out, Charlie.
No, we're not doing that. No.
Why not?
No,
I would support you guys. I would support you guys.
You've been unbearable.
We shouting out the Texas Rangers.
Thank you, Charlie.
We shouting out the
that was a question.
Appreciate you, Charlie.
Their championship. Their championship. What do they call the MLB championship?
World Series championship.
Yeah, World Series champions.
Will the track guy get mad that baseball calls themselves world champs too?
With what now?
The track guy that got mad at the NBA for calling themselves world champs, is he gonna be mad at baseball too?
Hey, this ain't got nothing to do with him. You leave this alone. We've been waiting a long time for this. Okay. All right. Charlie, we appreciate you, man. I know you got to get out of here. Appreciate you. As always, we'll see you next week. Go Seminoles. Go Seminoles.
All righty.
All right, buddy.
See ya.
All right. Kendrick, which one are you picking, brother?
I'm going to pick Washington to beat USC. I figured that was the easier pick out of the rest of those games.
You know what? It should be, but I don't know, man. That's a tricky one to me, too.
It's tricky because it is at USC.
Is that USC?
Unlike Miami, they do actually have a home field advantage.
Yeah.
And Washington is not playing that well right now. But
Caleb would like nothing more than to silence his Heisman critics, although I just don't see how they're gonna beat them. They can't stop anybody, bro.
I know their defense is so bad. This could be a bounce back game for Penix, so I'm gonna go with Washington.
I think there's an upset brewing this weekend. The question
you're gonna pick Purdue to beat Michigan.
Listen, I don't. But you know what? As much as I'm saying, as much as we're laughing about that, that would be the most Purdue thing to beat Michigan. That's what they do.
Well, when Braun was there, yeah.
When Braun was there, that's what they did. And I'm wondering if
especially in West Lafayette.
I'm wondering if the spirit of Braun is still lingering somewhere close.
If it was in West Lafayette, yeah. At Ann Arbor, nah, I can't see it.
No, I'm actually going to pick LSU over Alabama.
Wow.
I think Jaden is playing at such a high level that somehow he overcomes the ineptitude of Chip Kelly. And he's like, despite Chip's inability to win the big one, I am available to win the big one. And I think he's going to pull it off. I think they're going to pull it off.
That's the problem for me with that is I don't believe in Chip Kelly in the big one.
Hey, I don't believe in Chip Kelly, but I do believe in Jaden Daniels.
I believe in Jaden Daniels, but I think Chip Kelly can Chip Kelly at any point.
Well, here's what I'm thinking.
On 4th and 8 on the 40 or something like that.
Everything you're saying is 1,000% correct. But this is Jaden's Heisman moment, and I think he knows that. And this would also be his NFL draft moment.
He could play well.
Chip
Kelly is lingering.
He's out there. Listen, he may have to go to the sideline, Kyler Murray, and say, "Hey, man, I got this."
It's like that
got
picture with
this.
the Undertaker where he's coming from behind that guy. That's Chip Kelly. And one of his bad decisions.
I know, man. I know. Listen, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a risky pick. I took a lot of risky picks this week. But,
Hey, you know, you got to make up ground somewhere.
Can't make an arm without breaking some eggs. So there you go. Again, a fascinating week. Seriously, bro, with all due respect to all the rest of sports, I agree with the coaches of Big Ten.
Something's
The commissioner of the Big Ten needs to do something about this Michigan. That's ridiculous. And come on, man. And Jim Harbaugh, who is soon to be the next coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. If you just want to go, just say you want to go. Like,
I heard the NFL's even if he does go to the Raiders or goes to the NFL, that the NFL's even going to hit him with something.
I think they should.
They're not going to let him be a safe haven for him.
I think they should.
They should. They definitely should. I mean, we've seen it before with players.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. This is just, it's such a ridiculous story. And when they were showing the pictures yesterday of this guy standing on the sideline, you're like,
what was the MLB manager that did that? The manager for the Mets.
Oh, it was what was his name? I can't even think of his name.
Wasn't LaRusso.
Oh, it wasn't LaRusso. It was a short guy.
He was like, I mean, I feel bad because he's like a really well-known manager.
He's a well-known manager. I just can't remember what it is. But had the mustache and all that stuff. Oh, but this is so bad. And I think I was saying that on the 5 yesterday. I think they're going to come. They don't have a choice. The outcry is going to be too loud, and you can't just ignore this like it ain't happening. And you definitely can't wait.
Bobby Valentine,
yeah. You can't wait for the NCAA to investigate it,
right?
You know, so I think you just got to make a decision. Because Ohio State, barring a massive collapse, they're going to get in. Right. So you're going to have representation and be able to split money and all that stuff. You know, they were just trying to hedge their bet to some point. But anyway, all right, people. That's it.
You got your shout out. You forgot you did Charlie's shout out. We didn't do yours. You didn't do mine.
We didn't do yours. We did yours. You know, mine is very.
We already know where yours is going. Mine. I'm gonna shout out my father. Yeah, Dad.
Shout out your father. Matter of fact, let's solo you out so you can shout out your father.
Well, first shout out to Julian and Big City Styles. They celebrated their 25th anniversary over the weekend, and they honored my dad. Julian got his start as a barber at my dad at Haskins Barbershop, and so he honored my dad in a very, very elegant ceremony on Saturday. It's a shout out to him. Also, one more. My dad's great. It is what it is. You know, if you come to Louisville, people know me more as Mr. Haskins' son than they do as sports director at Wave. So
no question about it. He is a legend.
Yes. And one more shout out. One more shout out to my boys Nappy Roots. They just dropped a new album last week. It's a really good album, and they had their album release party on Saturday nights, and we went there and celebrated with them. So shout out to them.
I didn't know the Roots had dropped their albums.
Yes, Nappy Roots has a new album.
A long playing album. Check that out, man.
It's really good. It's really good.
So are they completely back together?
It's called Nappy for Life. Only Big V and they're not. Still not in there. Big V and Prophet, our Prophet. They're still not on the album, but the rest of them are Skinny, Big Male, or Fish Scales. I know their real names, so calling them by their stage names is funny.
Don't feel like you have to though. Don't feel compelled to, you know.
But Skinny, Scales, Clutch, and Be Still are all still together making music.
That's cool, man. Well, listen.
We had fun at the release party.
Listen, all jokes aside,
I can't believe you did not hit me with a humble flex. I was teeing it up for you.
The show's not over. What are we talking about? Like, and honestly, to be honest with you, I can't really hit you with the humble flex like I want because I'm flexing the ish out.
Right.
Listen, I'm so tired right now because I was up all night enjoying. And by the way, shout out to the Lakers as well for getting to finally exercising the Clipper demon last night. That was weird. It's weird that they lost 11 straight to them. That is so weird to me. But they did.
Everything about both of those teams right now is weird. James Harden going back. That shot of him going into the locker room and Terrence Mann just eyeballing him. Russell Westbrook really didn't seem all that excited to see him, if we're being completely honest.
Terrence Mann looked like he wanted to call him a word that we use colloquially with the black community.
Oh, he did. It just
his mind.
In his mind.
In the group chat, that's exactly what he said. Oh, I can't believe this. That was a weird moment. I know they meant that to be a special moment. It was not.
No,
it was.
And the Lakers so far this year have been so up and down. Like within the game, they're up and down. Like they lost the keys. They easily could have lost to the Magic the other night.
Yeah, there's a lot of but I get it because like we talked about with earlier with Kenny. There's a lot of moving parts, and they just haven't. And then let's be honest, D'Angelo is not a pure point guard.
No, they need a point guard.
They need a point guard. Yeah, and
LeBron's minutes restrictions lasted all of one game.
Yeah, that is not working. That is not working.
We'll see how that works out in February.
Well, they won't make it to February. What's going to happen is December 15th, which is when you can trade D'Angelo Russell. He's going to get traded. It's inevitable.
They have to get a point guard.
They got to get a point guard. There's no way they make it to December. I mean, to March with him playing heavy minutes like this. But yes, I'm flexing for my Rangers. Shout out to the Rangers once again. A moment in time.
Somebody around here's team's winning a chip.
Man,
we know our football teams aren't.
Oh my God.
That goes for my Cowboys too. They ain't winning nothing.
They're so bad.
Didn't even make the call to get Henry. I'm like,
they're so bad. My team is so bad. All I have to say about my Giants: -9 yards. How do you pass for negative? You have to try to do that. You have to try. You have to attempt to throw -9 yards. Like you have to actively do it.
Here's the bigger question. Why, when you have -9 yards passing, do you take the ball on the coin flip in overtime?
All I can say is
let's stay positive. Let's stay positive. Rangers are World Series champions. They are world champions, despite what the track guy said.
I was gonna say all I can say is thank God for the Rangers, because this was gonna be a long fall had they not pulled this off. And I am so thankful because I don't have to care about what the Giants are doing right now. I don't. I really don't. I can just watch the rest of the season, and whatever it becomes, I'm fine. So I'm fine. But what a night it was, man. It was just I got emotional, bro. It was weird because I got kind of emotional about it. It was like, this is really happening. I'm still kind of like, it's still kind of a shocking moment because you're like for real, this is happening. Like, we won for real. So 11 road games.
11-0 on the road. That's
crazy to me.
That's
know what we were in the regular season on the road? 40-41.
No, so you were a good road team then. I mean,
we were slightly below 500, but yeah.
I mean, that's a good road record. So yeah.
So just there's so many wonderful things that happen this. So I'm grateful. But anyway, enough of that. You guys go enjoy your day.
Monday's the opening day for college basketball.
We're here, baby. We're here. We are here. So it's going to be a fun year all the way around for some people. Louisville fans, I mean, we'll see.
Well, the women will be good.
The women are going to be great. They're going to be really good.
Let
me tell you something. College women's basketball is about to have their finest moment. If everybody stays healthy, it's going to be one of the greatest college women's basketball. That, to me, The women's tournament last year was far better than the men's.
Not even close.
Wasn't even close. And this year will be no different. They're gonna you're gonna want to watch women's basketball this year. So there's some must-see games going on. Okay, we gotta get out of here. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Believe in the ACC.
See you next week.
You've been listening to Believe in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard. And join us next time.